Yes. Hello. There was the young back guys. I'm Cesar. I hope everyone is good, and I hope everyone is okay. So yes. Hello. There was the young back guys. I'm Cesar. I hope everyone is good. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. But I'm Cesar Banai. Sound young. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're all good. Just a minute. Let me get another chair. So. Mumpulira bulungi awo ba. I hope mpulika bulungi. All right. But sound yange webanga eri fine, then we just start. Sina budde bungi. Ndina musawa za swara. So I just have something like 30 or 40 minutes. Then I'll be out of your way. Just to kwogerako katono ku updates eziriwo. Nebigenda maaso today in Uganda so that fena tuli on the same page. Okay, I'm sorry to come late. Nokubanga mbuliridde, but I'm trying as much as I can. Okulaba nti nkwasaganya here and there. So issues ziringa ssatu nya ezigenda maaso. Some of you that abasinga kume zimuyinza okuba nga temufollowinga. Esooka ye issue ya Mailo land. The attack on Buganda by Museveni. Ekyokubiri, international isolation is still continuing. Okuboolwa kwa Museveni international kukyagenda maaso mu nsi yonna. Leero Bungereza waliwo ekintu kibadde bayita Global Education Forum. Conference eyo ebadde wano Bungereza. Mubaddemu ensi ez'enjawulo eziva mu Africa. Nga bwali mu kulaba ngeri gye bagenda okutereeza ebyenjigiriza mu nsi yonna ku nsonga y'ebyenjigiriza kaŋŋambe. Global Education Forum nga bagamba nti ensi zirina okupleginga okuddira ebitundu 3 ku buli 100 ebya bajeti zaabwe babiteeke mu byenjigiriza. Akantu ako kabadde very interesting. Let me see if I can find it here. Global Education Forum. Now, Global Education Forum, Global Education Summit, webagiyita. Nabadde ngigoberera, I was following, because nalabye Kagame agenda kuwa speech. Lazarus Chakwera ow'e Malawi ali wano naye yazze Bungereza for that forum. Muhammad Buhari, then waliwo ne bapresidents abalala bava mu West Africa. Then eyo conference yabadde organized in partnership with Kenya. But what stood out kunze kyekyokuba nti Museveni bamulivinze out. It is interesting. Lwaki bamulivinze out ekyokuba nti pressure gye mutadde ku gavumenti ya Bungereza. So they didn't want to call in that echo gye bali. Naye just okubalagako wano katono nnyo. Bino ebintu mugende mu bisome mu birabe mu bifollowing because flip. All right, so kambaleetere gundi eno mugirabe. Most of you must have missed this, but ngenda balaga why ekintu kino kiri very crucial. Lwaki kiri funny ate si funny naye crucial. You see this? I have received your letter on the 5th of May 2021 informing me about the laudable initiative with the Right Honorable Boris Johnson on education. I salute the effort and I have signed the political statement. Yoweri Museveni, 16th of June 2021. His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Heads of state call to action on education finance ahead of the Global Education Summit, financing blah, 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 blah. Now, what they call for is to make sure governments around the world who have signed on this particular initiative or committing 30% of their budget towards education. Now, let me first remove that. Kakati waliwo ekirala kye nabadde nsoma ku I think this is the thing. Kakati ndaba wano. Now this is where the juice is. Musonyi okozesa ekigambo juice, but it's very interesting. Now this is where the juice is. Bye birangenda biddako. Ne mbabulira kino kyokka for the night. I think it really makes a lot of sense. All right. Okay, now I think I can share. All right. Now this. Omusajja ono mulaba. Education, the best investment for the future. This guy wrote the article on council wa gundi, whatever. I think the ambassador wa Bungereza Uganda. Yawandisa article enaku z'omwezi nga 22. Yagambye atya. On the 28th July and 29th, the United Kingdom and Kenya will co-host a global education summit, GES, in London. Ahead of that, I would like to reflect on the importance of education to Uganda's development. Now, that's not where the important part is. This is where the part is. With over half of its population, no, not that. Okay. All right, this is where it is. Okay. Now, look, the Global Education Summit this month has two aims. One, to replenish the global partnership for education with fundraising budget target of $5 billion so that the GPE can provide critical system transformative funding in the world's most vulnerable countries and support education systems to enable more children to learn. This will give 175 million children the chance to learn. That is not only the lives of tens of millions of individuals improved. That is also millions of communities transformed for better. And secondly, to secure the same political commitment that Uganda has made to the call to action from all heads of state. The commitment is the one I've read for you before this, which includes working towards allocating 20% of the national budget to education. And I'm going to show you why that is very important. Now, now, nebagamba nti heads of states will also endorse ambitious UK targets to get 40 million more girls in school globally, 1/3 more reading by age 10, and more girls in catch-up classes following COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Uganda intends to apply for the GPE grant this year. Uganda intends to apply for the GPE grant this year and is eligible to receive 200 million US dollars, providing it meets the criteria, which includes adequate domestic financing to education. The author Andrew O'Kaden is the development director at the British High Commission in Kampala. Kati bagamba nti eno conference eyabadde e Bungereza gye tuyita Global Education Summit ensi za pledges okuraising 5 billion US dollars providing education to 175 million children all over the world mu nsi eziri obubi ennyo. Ensi zino, they apply for this grant and this so-called summit or consortium providing a sente zino. Omukulu ono Andrew agamba nti Uganda ya expresses the interest oba yayalaze nti no eri interested okutapinga ku sente zino. Sente zino nga kigamba nti Uganda eri likely okufuna millions 2 eza dola in case singa meeting ya ebyetaagisibwa nga mwe muli okuteeka at least 20% of the national budget into adequate domestic financing to education. Okay? Now, nga twebuuza budget ya Uganda ku education eyimiridde etya? Now, for those of you ababadde following up budget ya Uganda, this is what is very funny. Now, let us look up Uganda's budget, because I've looked up all this stuff, okay? Uganda budget education. Abasajja bano babbi. Okay. Abasajja bano babbi. You know why babbi? Education sector. Nedda walowooza kyennyoonya. I don't know if you guys have already gotten the idea. Museveni kye yakoze 2021 2022, yeah, education sector. Jukira babagambye bayina okuteekawo 20% for them to get the 200 million. Now, this is what they did. Okay, katulabe wano katono kale. All right, so I'm going to show you something here. Control F. I think the njogera ku kino kyokka. Okay, just a minute. Now, this is what these guys did. Mujjukire kye baakola. Now, this is the important point. Why 2021-2022 budget program is not sector-based. Mujjukire luli nti bano bagayi baddiranga gundi ne bakola nti education tutaddeko ssente bwe ziti, health tutaddeko bwe ziti, agriculture tutaddeko bwe ziti, egundi tutaddeko bwe ziti. Now, what we are seeing today, what we are seeing today is that donor countries, America, European Union, Bungereza, zina criteria zezisetinze according to third world budgets. Kwegamba okwongera okuwa ssente a particular country bajja bagamba nti twagala mu spending 10% of your budget on health, not defense. Twagala mu spending 20% of your budget ku education. Twagala mu spending 5% of your budget on gender and all this kind of stuff, improving girl education. But what these guys did is this. Sectors bazijewo ne bateekawo ebintu ebyenjawulo. Kakati this is what they did in order to okubuzaabuza nti okay guys mugamba education to spending 20%, yeah, but to allocate the sente mu gender that will improve the girl child, to allocate the sente misaala gy'abasomesa, to allocate the sente mu education ne bakibulizabulizaawo ne bagamba nti tukigattagatta it comes to actually 30%, so we qualify for the 200 million to kubuzaabuza badola. That is why you see for the very first time budget ya Uganda teyali sector based, and for me My small understanding of the issue is after looking at this global education summit in London, where Uganda is targeting 200 million US dollars, and criteria is to spend 20% of Uganda's budget on education. Now, this is according to CHIMP reports, why Uganda's budget is not sector-based. Unlike previous budgets where allocation of resources was sector or ministry-based, determining resources that go to sectors for implementation of government programs. The 2021-2022 financial year budget of 44.7 trillion Ugandan shillings is program-based. Allocations are no longer sector-based but program-based, putting together one goal by several factors. For example, human capital development, which took the biggest portion of the budget, 7.7 trillion, accounting for 17% of the budget, combines health, education, and water sectors. This followed by peace. So, Balaga, into human resource. Kati education, Balaga, singa eri emoko categories ezisinga okutwala sente nyingi. Do you get the idea? For example, human resource development, which took the biggest portion. I don't know if you guys, I think but let me check here. Just once. Resource development, which took the biggest portion. I don't know if you guys. So okay, so for you, if you can see this, yeah, the budget 7.7. Website ads human resource development, human capital development, which took the biggest portion of the budget, 7.7 trillion shillings, accounting for health, education, and water sectors. Kwegamba badira health ne bagigata ne education ne water kati okusobola okulaga bano ba donors and look here, we qualify for the $200 million. So we spent actually 17%. I know you guys said 20%. No, it is close. It is just 3% short. Kati never donor nabonga ba releasing omudidi. This was followed by peace, security, and governance, which combines the office of the president, prime minister, internal affairs, and gender, taking 6.9 trillion shillings, accounting for 15% of the total budget. Now, that means that we'll take gender, nature, girl, child, you watch to them. You see how they are doing these things, eh? Agenda until one balaga facade. Until now, we are not spending so much money on defense as it used to be in the past, because now you cannot track. You cannot track how much money is being spent on defense, how much money is getting in prime minister's office, how much money is getting in the office of the president, and so on and so forth. Just to kubuza both with the Ugandans as well as the citizens. So nebalete ekintu kyabwe ekyekiyaye ekigamba nti the going now eri sector based is no longer eri program based is no longer sector based. Do you get the idea? So, but what we see from the Global Education Summit is the stamping of okwongera okulaga nti Museveni has now, these people have had enough with Museveni. They are going more with Kenya. And this is what I've told people, depending on what happens in Kenya next year, if the election is very violent, because so many people are looking at the Kenyan election, it's going to be very interesting. I also understand nti Kagame naye bamwadde omukisa okwogera ku summit eno, but of course nti mulaba ne mukulu Kagame naye byasiba si birungi on his side. But ekyendabye interesting in the region is how they are trying to take back Tanzania. Nti Tanzania, most of the countries, donor countries, especially America, as well as China, zigenze nnyo okutandika okola deal empya with Tanzania, because the reason for that is because they have looked at Uganda, very unstable, not a good environment for business, and this applies to China as well as the Western countries. Now, Kagame, he has the worst PR as we speak today, especially ku issue eya espionage eyabaddewo eyokuba nti abadde abega abakulembeze banne omuli Cyril Ramaphosa, omuli ono owamwe, omuli owabano we Uganda, ne mubeeramu ne presidents abalala and different people. So he's really, really unpopular. Now, Kenya, they are investing so much into Kenya. But the problem with Kenya is into what is really going to happen in the next election. And we know in the next election, Museveni afuba nnyo Ruto awangule, so that Museveni can get the credibility back Jabadaina internationally, so that they can fight, or so that they can play this terrorism card jebagala okubanga barwana, to create terror and create terrorism card ebenge etambula. Chovala Museveni doesn't like Raila Odinga at all, because if Odinga takes power in Kenya, it is really bad news for Museveni. But if Ruto takes power in Kenya, Museveni, it is good news for him, because all he needs is alliances, all he needs is legitimacy. You see, what we are seeing today is in the regional politics is that Museveni and Kagame are really, really so much isolated. Like Olabanti in Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Ali in a very different world. Like she's doing her own thing. Ojakulaba, because issue ya pipeline, they got Samia Suluhu as well as Museveni. It is stalled because activists have blocked insurers, have blocked banks. Museveni close to $6 billion to build the pipelines. And as a matter of fact, Samia Suluhu is frustrated. She's just moving on with her life and doing completely different things. Museveni, ebya pipeline things are really bad for him as we speak today. Kenya is enjoying a lot of stuff. Because actually you should understand, when Samia Suluhu came to power, onomchala what's her name? Kamala Harris. Yakubira Samia Suluhu Esimu, and they spoke for like an hour or so. But Museveni has never received a call from the United States of America congratulating him and all this kind of stuff. So the policy is kind of shifting. Now, if you have been following the issue of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, I don't know how much time I have left, but if you're looking at the issue of Muhoozi, I follow Muhoozi on Twitter. Unfortunately, he blocked me yesterday. Especially when I went hard on him. Issue jebatulaze yaba yekera abarumbye side zombo abakodef, those people from the so-called Congo. Now this is what is happening today. Muhoozi was put into as the commander land forces. Katuvamuteka mucha commander land forces. They have to create scenarios for him to come out as a hero, as a fighter. That's what they are doing. Chovolaba as the commander land forces. Inti oramaze abayekera okulumba nebakwate mundu nga tukula and all this nebatayo wa UPDF for mubabiri Muhoozi na posting ebifananyi. The story didn't capture a lot of attention. Only Alan Kasuja yaji covering up on Twitter, but it covering it wasn't really that juicy. People were tired of that crap. So we see Muhoozi against in whatever at the border, or he's looking around the place, things that were literally stage managed. Byonna byabadde stage managed twabirabye. Kati babimutereddewo to go there as the hero. Kati yesterday nagenza okulaba nti Muhoozi abayeekera babakutte, RDC bewaddeyo, kati abayeekera babatadde bazzeyo ewaka waabwe nga bamaze okutta owa UPDF. And I was like, look here, toyinza kungamba nti omuntu ayalumbye outpost eya UPDF natta n'omuyeeke natta n'aba UPDF mumulese agende ewaka. Like, you go home. You killed our soldier, but it's okay, go home. We want peace. Naye omuntu wagamba people power, our power, oyo mugenda mukuba mumuttirewo. Omuntu wagamba nti mpagira Bobi Wine, oyo bagenda mutta. But if someone agenda nakuba abamaje, natta, and all this kind of stuff, and they surrender, they just let them go and go home. Meaning that this thing never happened. Meaning that this thing is all stage managed. Meaning that these people are looking for war in order to create their own heroes in a particular situation. So what you do is creating a circumstance where Muhoozi has to be portrayed as a hero. So this is what they are entirely trying to do to the international community, as well as to the donor countries, as well as to the Ugandan public. Mbukati Muhoozi is the commander land forces tikakati yagenze na handling abayekera. So that's really funny. Anyway, ekyo nga tukivuddeko tudde ku issue yaffe ya Mailo nga njagala kumaliriza. Now the issue of Mailo is very interesting, because what we are seeing today is that Museveni is trying to upset the kingdom of Buganda. Now, this thing has been spoken about so many times. Bachogeddeko, left, right, and center, so many programs are talking about the entire issue, blah, 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 blah. Now, there's so many ways Museveni can take over land in Buganda. So many different ways. And the only point I would disagree with the kingdom is just one. How are you going to work on the preservation of the land in the kingdom? Because Fenatu Chimanyi, as Minister Wetaka Yagambye, Katikiro, I've been watching the Katikiro and all these other people. This is what they have said. They have made a critical point. In Buganda, or in Uganda, Buganda, people are free to buy land within Buganda, but people from Buganda are not free to buy land anywhere else in the country. So what does this mean? It means that together kulaba, a lot of people who have made money, stolen money in different parts of the government, or different areas of the government, and they are going to carry out Twitter gentrification, whereby they are going to, actually it is happening. Bagenda in these poor areas, they buy off the land and then put up permanent structures and things of the sort. And what we are seeing is, even the Mailo land owners are broke as hell, especially the Baganda Mailo land owners. Now, what that creates is it has already created a new generation of Mailo land owners coming from other regions, settling within Buganda, and they are being literally accommodated. So what does this mean? Is that if the Baganda can no longer buy land elsewhere, and even if you come to the diaspora, the biggest population of people are Baganda. Now, these are Baganda who are third generation, second generation, and so on and so forth, because we have so many different types of Baganda. We have Baganda by assimilation, we have Baganda by birth, we have Baganda by whatever, Some people just migrated from other places, they adopted it, they carried on the name. You see, they carried on. For example, people who migrated from Rwanda in 1959, after the Rwandan Revolution, when the Hutus were beaten by when the Tutsis were beaten by the Hutus, they were exiling King Kigeli the Fifth, and then Kigeli left the country, never to return. And then those people, Badukayo, never yingira Uganda. Now we also have some Rwandese who were cut by the border, whereby the border put them in Uganda instead of putting them in Rwanda, the Kaihuras and all those other people. Then we also have the Rwandese who migrated in 1800s. Now, most of these people, what happened is they adopted the culture, the customs, the language, and all this kind of stuff. These people, they have nowhere to begin from. Now, what we see is that these people have produced children. These people have produced, so many different individuals and all this kind of stuff. And now they have become Baganda. Because you can't say that, whereas in Teorizogama, okay, Lanya and all this kind of stuff, but still these people have adopted and have assimilated. Just like we come to the UK, if you look at people like Rashford, you look at people like Sancho, Jordan Sancho, you look at people like Saka and Ian Wright, these people came from somewhere. You get it? So the way they identify themselves as British. Though this gentleman known as Rashford, that's what I could die Haiti and trace his roots. So we need to look at it in that particular aspect. So that's why I tell people, like, if you have decided to become a Muganda, be a Muganda on your, because if you're not going back to Rwanda, you're not going back to anywhere else, then be royal. That's what I mean. But this is the point. So if the land is being, because there are so many ways you can upset, there are so many ways you can displace people. I mean, this is the strategy the Israelites used against the Palestinians. In the 1920s, the biggest population in the occupied state of Palestine today, that we call Israel Palestine, the Palestinians were the biggest majority of the area. The Palestinians were the biggest majority. What happened? An occupying state came. The Israelites, they came, they occupied the country by force. They took over land by force. Then the government, okay, fine. Let us divide the country into a two-state solution. Into Israel, Palestine. But you know what the Israelites have been doing? They made sure that the people of Palestine were very broke. They made sure that they got as many refugees, as many Jews all over the world in Morocco. Even some Jews actually had refused to migrate to Israel. No, we don't want to go back. We are very safe here in Morocco. If you go to Morocco, there are some Moroccan Jews. They said, Moroccan Jews, no, we are very safe under the king of Morocco. The Jews in Jerusalem, sometimes they always have to go and make a pilgrimage from Jerusalem to Morocco, because the king of Morocco, who is actually a Muslim, protected the Jews in that area, and they were safe from any sort of persecution. Most people, what they don't understand with the Israel-Palestinian crisis is the fact that the Jews were very much oppressed and suppressed under the Christian leadership. That's what I would say, especially because they were subjugated. What we call pogroms. Is that in Russia? Even In the West, Hitler himself was a Christian. So Hitler killed 16 million. There is no Muslim. And I really laugh when I see Israelites really hate Muslims because they were very, very well protected under the Muslims. A gentleman known as Salahuddin al-Ayyub, when he came to capture the state, sorry, where you're capturing Jerusalem, and he was given the keys to the city. Yawa abagundi aba Christians abalimu by the time n'aba Jews abali. No, actually he told the Christians to leave. N'abagamba bagende na buli kye all the riches and everything, they made them to leave. And when he came, he gave the Jews their rights. N'aba these are sacred places and all this kind of stuff. But when the British came into Jerusalem, they massacred everything. They desecrated all the holy places and everything. So that's what happened. So the Jews were actually very, very, because even if you come Poland, Polish Jews and all these other people, they were all literally killed. So the point here is, as we speak today, the biggest population in this area in Israel, or what you call Palestine, it is the Israelites. And this happened in less than 100 years. They managed to overturn the population of the area. And when they operate, it created a lot of pressure in the area. Some of the land was forcefully taken. The other land was forcefully bought. And the other land was forcefully occupied. So that is also happening in Buganda. Now, what is happening in the kingdom? Some might be intentional. Some might be as a result of external pressures. And some might be because of reasons like, these fools having stolen a lot of money and they don't have any, because no guy would be interested to buy land in Gulu if he has stolen like 10 billion in the government. They all want to look into the central. And these people who have stolen money in the government, most of them are coming from Museveni's family and his relatives. And we all know the region they are coming from. So when they come, they buy square miles and square miles of land, displacing somebody in Baganda. Now, the other thing is that what they have done to the people who live in Buganda or the Baganda is to make them poor. The same strategy the Israelites used against the Palestinians, make them poor. So the Palestinians have no jobs. They cannot work. So in Uganda, the people in the central, literally, they cannot work. They have no jobs. So what do? You sell what you have. What do you have? Land. Sell land, buy a border. Sell land, go to Dubai to work. Sell land, get up to Germany, and all these other places. You get the point. Now, what is going to happen is this, that this so-called class of the Musevenis and his other people, they are buying square miles and square miles of land, and they are not selling this land. They are holding this land as an investment for their loot they have stolen. Now, at times it's going to be very hard for us to actually buy land of these people. So what does the kingdom have in terms of solutions? Because first thing, when a parent dies in Buganda, and when we are selling this land, the first people we are looking for are the Mayanja wuno aina sente milioni 2 ogula poloti yo. Kamugisha akola mu State House akuwa milioni 4. Kagame akuwa milioni 5 mujasi. Bro, Mayanja is not even going to look anywhere. Atagenda kunyonya. Gundi agamba china mugenyi. Namugenyi obadde mpa milioni 2. Nti namugenyi okay katulabe. He's going to look for Kamugisha. He's going to look for Kagame to give him the 40. I mean, I'm speaking about these things because I know they're happening in families. The moment a father dies in the family, immediately bang, they sell to the army men and the bajas and all this kind of stuff. You get the point? Now, when you go to the north, it doesn't happen like that. When you go to the west, it doesn't happen like that. They would rather sell to Kagame with 30 million than sell to Mayanja for 50. Do you get the idea? So if you have as many Kagames as possible that have produced children coming to buy as much land as they can within Uganda, what are we going to be left with? Absolutely nothing. We are going to be left with nothing. Nothing. And look here, like, these people literally have no jobs. They have nothing. Because here is the trick. Because, like, I mean, the issue of Mailo land is very, very complicated because Museveni is now weaponizing it. To me, I would even think it's a double-edged sword. Because what is going to happen here is that Mailo land owners are actually shifting and are changing. Museveni himself is a Mailo land owner. There's the Kaihuras are Mailo land owners. Muhozi is a Mailo land owner. There are so many Mailo land owners within Uganda. Do you get the point? And these people are still buying because they have access to funds. Peasants, we are selling it all to these people. Now, this is what is going to happen. It is a melting pot. What is going to happen is this, and and I'm warning people and I'm telling people that abantu banabagula square miles and square miles zamataka. Because what is going to happen is this, that no wanga wagule taka nemukola transfers and all this kind of stuff. Something is going to come in sort of a revolution and overturn everything. Today, bagenda kunyiga reset button and we go back to 1900. Now, depending on who will take power at the time, we might have to redistribute the land again. We might have to go back there. And it might go back to the situation whereby buli mbuzi ku nkondo yayo. Unfortunately, that's where it might lead to. Be very careful. It might go back to that moment. Let us go back. What's your name? Wagulawa, how did you get how did you acquire the land? So katudayo tunyiga reset button. That's how revolutions work. Redistribution of land again. Buto kubanga abakoloni webali bazze webali bagaba ettaka lya Uganda whenever they were signing the 1900 Buganda agreement. Square miles bagamba zali meka gumu bbiri gumu kitundu whatever. Kitegera mailo akende zaali zisigaddewo tebagamba nti nno zaaki za Bachiga, Abanyankole and all this kind of stuff. No, these other miles akende zaali zisigaddewo after distributing the Kanana zaali za Buganda. Zezo mailo zemulaba okuli government offices, okuli state house, okuli amagombolola and all that kind of stuff. The mailo akenda zezo zaali za Buganda. And the thing we should understand, whenever these fools were signing the 1900 Buganda agreement, they never envisioned they will be leaving Uganda in the next 50 or 60 years. Because after signing the agreement, 1900, Second World War happens, 1945. After 1945, what happens? It escalates the independence allocation, the allocation of independence to several African states, creating new nation states out of the colonial state. Now, that country, Bungereza, as well as these other countries, America and all these kind of, settler state colonialists, they had envisioned, for example, Africa, they would colonize Africa for 250 years. But up to now, actually, the first country in Africa to achieve independence under the British domination was supposed to get independence, I think, in 2000. Or 2010, something like that. That's what they thought. In Hong Kong, Hong Kong, it was actually one of the last vestiges of colonialism in Southeast Asia. Bavayo in 1994. Nebakwata Hong Kong, then they handed it over to China. Why? Because China had become very strong and stronger than the British. But the British had held on to Hong Kong. Until they had to agree, you know what? I think the sun has already set on the British Empire. It is time to get Hong Kong and hand it over to these people. Hong Kong, the latest, I think it was 2022. So we should put into mind, until whenever these guys were signing the agreement, they never thought they would be leaving Uganda in the next 60 years. For them, when they were signing the agreement, they thought in bajja kubanga bafuga Uganda for like Buganda for like 200 years. 200 years. That's what they thought. Chovola beera we baamalo ne bakwatakwatawo ebintu nga bwe babikwatakwata ne babitukuba ne babitusuulira. Ne bagamba bibyo mwe sorting, and it was an entire mess. Because when you said you have created a state eyo ate nga amawanga agamu wasalasalamu ettaka lyabwe ng'owooza nti ettaka liri national, as some people would like to interpret it. Ate amawanga amalala n'otaleeta ttaka lyabwe kuli integrating as national land. Because we need the land from Acholi nayo okay tuliyise mu agreement nti tugambe okay Acholi land has to distribute some land to. Do you think the Acholis will accept that stuff? They will not accept because it's very fair. The Langis will not accept. The Kalamajongs will not accept. The Acholis, I mean, these other people, West Nile, Banyoro, not the. But Uganda accepted. So we are literally being occupied. Because other kingdoms, they have their land intact. Because of the so-called agreement that all these people go back to, which was unfair, of which we accepted some of it because as David Impanga was explaining, these people back to the takalyafe because they wanted to get free land to cultivate their cash crops, to cultivate cotton, coffee, and all these crops. That's what they wanted. Because abazungu bo bagala bya bwerere. They never paid for this land to create their administrative centers, the so-called capitals, Entebbe, and these places, Kampala as the capital, and all these places, Mengo, towns and cities, for free. That's what they wanted. So different governments, Zamini, Zadia, Botezize, and all this kind of stuff, they have still occupied the same premises that the colonialists created. And Ngosanga Museveni was colonialists. But the colonialists subjugated the people of Uganda through this unfair agreement. And then you are still use Oriku colonial gundi, Oriku foundation, Eyaba Museveni. Sorry, Eyaba colony, Jebakozesa okubettaka, Joliko Jotambulirako, and then you call yourself a Pan-Africanist. Come on, really? It doesn't work like that. Wobango genda condemning colonialism, you condemn colonialism. Maybe policies in terms of all these agreements and all this kind of stuff, condemn all that. Because Wobanga the true Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism cannot be built on the modern nation state. Toyinza kubuilding a Pan-Africanism gogama Pan-Africanism inakubeera Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Equatorial Guinea. These are colonial states. These nation states were created out of the colonial state. Inti our colony bali in states as these boundaries, and then they just formed these so-called countries. Pan-Africanism. You cannot build Pan-Africanism from that point. At the same time, abazungu babi. But you're using their foundation to build the so-called United States of Africa. That is stupid. The true Pan-Africanism should be built from the Berbers, from the Baganda, from the Banyoro, from the Acholi, Langi, and all these other tribes. From the Akan, all those people. That's how it should be built, because that's who we are. Nembo katugambe Pan-Africanism atandika mu 1960s. Resistance of independence. Come on. Shoveras, I'm very hard on those so-called people. You know why this guy Gundi Obote Wamalo Kujako Mutesa. Like Mutesa and that guy Kanyerere, they were very at loggerheads. Nyerere hated Mutesa so much. Because Mutesa was merely a king. And Nyerere was a Marxist as well as a socialist, just like you see this Museveni. And this is what I told people last time, that Marxism and this so-called socialism, whenever a leader has those kind of ideas, the nation is doomed, and said doomed. And that's where we are heading. Compulsory grabbing of land from the people. Now, some people will tell me, we need to appreciate Museveni. Museveni, akolede Buganda, akomezaawo bwakabaka, blah, 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 blah. Museveni knew very well, singate yakomyawo bwakabaka, he would not be in power for 35 years. Because look here, he had a war to take care of in the north. Northern Uganda, because these people had just left power. They had arms, baina, mamundu, baina, everything. They had a lot of arms, weapons, and they ran with these weapons. Now, Museveni Chiyayitayagala was two things: to be fighting on the northern front as well as the central front. Wobango tudda abaganda mu nsiko nti bagende balwane bakomewo bakabaka. That echichichali gwali mugabo gwaffe. Museveni did not bring back Bwakabaka because he loves Buganda so much. No. He brought it because it was strategic for him in order to avoid a revolt within the central region. Because if you lose the central region in Uganda, he knows and understands very well. If you lose the central region in Uganda, the entire country, you have lost it, like it or not. I'm very sorry. Because when Amin lost it, out. When Obote lost it, out. Even Mutesa, he was attacked within the central, out. So Museveni understands. If Buganda catches a cold, if Buganda sneezes, the entire Uganda catches a cold. Because Buganda is Uganda summarized. I mean the region. Simply, it is Buganda summarized. Everything, the entire economy is there. You hit the place hard, the entire country shuts down. Everything shuts down. And this is if you we want to see other areas also prosper. If Obote comes, Gende actually create a town there, create a capital. You are mean Gendam West Nile, create a fledgling city there. You are Museveni Gende Wamwe Rachitula, create a town and a fledgling city there. Why you come here? You create so that people don't come from Rachitula to Kampala to start displacing us. People shouldn't come from Acholi to look for good education in Namagungo or Nabisusa. How many people do you see live in Kampala going to Gundi, going to the north to study? Very few. Okay, back in the days it used to happen, but now it doesn't happen. Lastly, because of so many contributions that Buganda has made to this country, I mean, I shouldn't be coming here to speak and teach people about the sacrifice the kingdom of Buganda has made. Because even the people who led Uganda to independence, you have our independence because people like Mutesa fought for it. Mutesa said, Titomugana to take East African Federation. Uganda should be one as a country. Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, we should all be one as a country. It doesn't work like that. There are so many secessions that are happening on the continent today. Everyone wants to split away. Somalia ilimu ebitundu bibiri. Nigeria mulimu bibiri. This guy called Nnamdi Kanu akamala mukwata wa independent state of Biafra. They have brought it back. Ethiopia, the Tigrayans are fighting. Why? Because of land. Somalia and Somaliland, it is because of land. Tigray, land. South Sudan, Northern Sudan, land. You go and ask the people of Abyei. Is it the Gundi? Is it Abyei or by Gundi? Cameroon, same thing, land. Splitting. Kakati Chengame and the lastly, the guys, look here. Whatever people are doing, every bakola, Museveni, Nebane, and all this kind of stuff. Bobalos, Intifetuli Basiru. Because look here, the reason as why Uganda is one of the most unstable places around the region is because of tribalism. It's because people have a lot of envy on the kingdom, and yet they should embrace Buganda. They should embrace it. Why? Even if it means that using Luganda as a national language, we should adopt that. If it is what is going to unite Uganda, let us adopt it. Uniting Uganda, I would adopt the Ruchiga. But you cannot come from somewhere, not Swahili, tusome ffenna mu Uganda mbule lugendo tu gata. How many people speak Swahili? Bameka bayimbi bemuwulira ba this gentleman, one of my favorite tracks, ono wa Corona omwana gwe bayita Easy. Easy comes from the north, but he's speaking eloquent Uganda better than I. The fact that he can write music is literally poetry. The fact that he can write music and bring lyrics together, it means that the guy mastered the art of speaking the language. If you look at people like Neko Dedek, coming from Karamoja, speaking eloquent Luganda. Look at people coming from the West and different parts of the country. That is the only thing that can bring us together. And then you see donkeys, Baba Gamba, okay guys, let us embrace a national language that is not English. The reason as to why Kenya and Tanzania have managed, because if you go to Tanzania, they have over 110 tribes. Wogende Congo wano baina amawanga agasuka 200 tribes in the Congo. Uganda mwina meka 53. You go to Tanzania, they have what? 40, whatever, over 100 tribes. But they all have a language they speak that is Swahili. It gets the entire country together. Kati ne woyogera muli olulimi olulala oluhehe or whatever, or lubera suppressed because Swahili has taken precedent. And by adopting Luganda as a national language, it creates a new brand of language that is not pure Luganda, but is Lugandized with different other languages. Nti ojja kusanga aba northern nga boogera Oluganda naye nga lulimu olucholi n'olulango lwabwe. Nosanga people from the east nga boogera Oluganda naye nga lulimu n'olulimi lwabwe. Nosanga people from the west nga boogera Oluganda naye nga lulimu neki. But when you bring that up and tell people, hey, era baagala Buganda, it's taking over and all this kind of crap, that is stupid. Because you cannot speak about national unity. The first language you are looking for is Swahili. I absolutely have a negative feeling about Swahili. Because Swahili is a language of oppressors. If they are trying to torment us, they use the same language. It's just like a person seeing a whip. If your grandfather was enslaved, when you look at a whip, what does it remind you about? If my dad, okay, everyone will tell you these stories. They came at home speaking Swahili, ngabogera Swahili. Fungua. Swahili is not a language of love. Have you ever heard people speaking Luganda, coming to their homes and trying to torment people? It's a language of peace. It's a language that unites people. So the reason as to why Kenya and Tanzania tebafuna turbulence eyo, and they are managing to bring the entire country together, it is because they have a language that brings them together, and that's Swahili. Now, you cannot bring Swahili at Uganda. Uganda. No. We have a language that already people are taking up more than Swahili. That is why we see so many songs are sung in Luganda. Teri ruyimba gwe muyamba mekaba yimbe nyimba z'olu Swahili okuleka chameleon nezikwatayo. No one. Even the Navios that sing in English, they always have to make sure they speak Luganda. They sing in Luganda. This is the thing that this gentleman was saying. Look here. Bameka bagenda ne bakampaininga mu byalo byabwe nga bakampaininga mu luzungu oba mu Luwarabu. No one. If you go to areas like Sembabule, these people in Sembabule, they still campaign in Luganda. If you go to Nakaseke, Luero, these migrants who are the Balaro, who have come from different people, they campaign to them in Luganda. Why don't they lose Lularo over Lunyaranda? Because they understand the power of language. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope we meet to another day. It's just a sogedeko. I think I've spoken about everything, guys. So. And let me tell you, this doesn't have to mean into other tribes do not. No. If I was in the Muganda and Yoba Muchiganga, my tribe is the one, I wouldn't be into this, right? I respect every tribe. Every tribe is equal. We are all equal, okay? We are all equal. Everyone who comes from Acholi, Langwa, and all these other places, Kalamoja, all these other places, please, we are all equal. People should understand Inti togenda kunyigiriza a certain group. Because when I see the Baganda being targeted, dog, I'm not going to be happy. Because should I say anything? I can't. How do I start? I'm not going to call myself Nakalima. Because they want to switch sides, because they think, okay, now things have gotten so hard. Someone calls himself Salim Saleh Kachora Siramse. We beat it dayo. No. Can I say that I'm Opio? I can't. I can't. So the so-called things, abagala okulinnya ettaka lya Mailo, ekigenda okuhappeninga kye kino. Social gundi egenda kushuka. Everything is going to be reset. And when things are reset, you know, they say that saying, out of chaos comes order. The country will crash. Land is not an issue that has to be played with on the entire African continent. Amataka, this would have an. But now all the big ones have fallen because of land. Land should be confiscated by the government. Government forcefully takes over land. Government just like that. I mean, we are not socialists. We are not Marxists. Socialists and Marxists. You go and do them from somewhere else. You cannot come. Kutaka area fe abakoloni ne babba. Atembo taniko ditugabira. I mean, failed. The queen failed. You are the one who will succeed. You have your own land in Buhima. You go and distribute that land. No, I won't even engage myself into that particular issue. What connects Museveni and Buganda? What connects Museveni and the central region? Watch together no beye wamwe Buhima. Tebayina takeye wamwe. We bali bagaberi wamwe bali gababatya. Racho jakulya fe. This is our land. This is our identity. This is our everything. Look here, the people who come from that area, I swear, if you displace and upset the land question in Buganda, that's what is going to happen. Whatever. I don't know where that Museveni guy comes from. Because but that is where you will find the people. That's where you're going to find them. Kubanga ori Museveni, right? Museveni. But now you want to distribute Buganda land. How does that work? Now tell me if that is not tribalistic. Come on. I think we have been accommodative enough. Surely. I mean, because if you go back no to Nuira, Abahima baine takaliawe. Abanyankole baine eriawe. Abachori muine eriamwe. Abalango muine eriamwe. We mutuuka okusharinga erya Buganda nti buli omu afune ettaka lya Buganda. We tutuuka ogamba nti nedda bannaye Abanyankole nammwe musharingeko naffe Abaganda mutuweeko. Abahima nammwe mutuweeko. Mmwe Abakiga baki. No. Wano tokwatako. Wano temukwatawo. Mugende muli ewamwe Uganda. Buganda. Guys, please. Abacholi no. Mugende Buganda. Temujje mu ttaka yaffe. Kati we tutuuka lya Buganda. Buganda ffenna tujje tulye. Kati ffenna batuyenga akamyu tuggwewo, we have nowhere to go, tufuuke mbomboze olova nga ffe tuzunga wuuyo muli Rwanda, wuuyo muli Kenya, bakuba muli nga mufuuse nga Bayudaaya. You are scattered all over the place. Nga bagamba munnaye baali Baganda. Abaganda nga baali b'amaanyi. Twawulirako eggwanga ne bayita Buganda. Nga temukyayina ttaka. This is what's going to happen. Land should return to their program yataka. They should return land to their rightful owners. The rightful owners are not the Musevenis. The rightful owners of the Buganda land are not the Musevenis and all these other people. Ekyo cracks in the foundation of the state of Uganda. Because literally it doesn't make sense. Whereas we might have this facade of unity, all Ugandans, we are the same. Nga okero toyinza kunguza ttaka. Really? Nga atenze nkuguza eryange. What unity are you talking about? Come on. It's a facade. It is showing literally the cracks in the entire state. It means that the form of governance that we have today is not working. The form of governance we have had tyrants, we have had dictators, we have had people who have tried as much as they can, but the governance, that form of governance doesn't work. Eganyo kola, the entire continent, eganyo kola. It doesn't work. Again, it doesn't work. So for me, I don't know. Now I am worried at the rate at which the Baganda are selling land and the rate at which we are not getting any new land. And I think that's the thing the kingdom should work upon. Surely. Because without land, we are just going to vanish. Ngatulie no Bulaya, ngatulie all over different parts of the world, all this kind of stuff. Because literally, we are truly messed up. I tell people, for Uganda to be successful, what you call Uganda, Chemuyita Uganda, because what is Uganda? What is Kenya? What do you mean by Kenya? What do you mean by Tanzania? What do you mean by Egypt? Sudan? What do you mean? Will you break it down? Break it down. What is Egypt? There is no identity in Egypt. It starts with your actually culture or language or kakwa. And then it goes back to your ethnicity. And then we begin from there to build nations. The only way, because the Chinese are deeply entrenched, identity is deeply entrenched, and it's not going away anytime soon. It might be our great-great-grandfathers, great-great-grandkids, of which boundaries by then is Uganda the boundaries are still changing, trust me. South Sudan is not the last country we are seeing on the continent of Africa. The Western Sahara, they are emerging states. Somaliland is an emerging state. Biafra, they are emerging states. Ambrosia in Cameroon, they are emerging states. Era kakana tujja kuddayo nga tuzzeeyo ku mawanga gaffe agasookerwawo nga bacolonialists tebannajja. Kati mwe mwagala kuzimbira ku by'abakoloni mwe ne bankuluma bammwe be banyaabo sekuture banyaabo. Okay, they are good guys, but you cannot say that forget about your tribe, forget about your identity. Let Africa come together. Kudiru ki? Pan-Africanism. Oh, Africa has to be one. Really? What do you mean by Africa has to be one? Crap. Temuli. If someone comes with you with that stupid idea, and East Africa has to be one Africa, what do you mean by East Africa? And where do you draw the line? East Africa, do you mean even Ethiopia and all these other countries? Because East Africa, the context of East Africa is based on how the Europeans view East Africa. Mumanyi lwaki Western Uganda bagiyita Western Uganda ng'ate eri mu South? You people are stupid. Why do you think essaawa mugibala kifuula ngenge? 12 zibeera 6. 12 zibeera 6. Mpozi nga mu lulango bazibala lulala ne mu Bukyoli. Gwe weebuuze lwaki essaawa muzibala we mutyo? 12, 6, in UK tugamba, it is 6 p.m. In Uganda mugamba ssaawa 6. Why? Sorry, muziyita 12. Ssaawa 6 ssaawa 3 muziyita 9. Are we stupid? Western Uganda mugiyita eri mu South mugiyita West. Ate Northern Uganda ne mugiyita North. We are not stupid. Do you know why it is called Western Uganda? No. Now, I don't know if I actually taught this to you, but the reason as to why we call it Western Uganda, it is because when people were migrating into the region, Twaina groups B ezajja. We had the Nilotics and we also had the Bantu speaking groups. Now, mu Bantu speaking groups, Twaina groups B. Nti twaina the Western Interlacustrine region ez'abantu abali settlings around the water bodies in the Western Interlacustrine region. Then tubaawo ne Eastern Interlacustrine region. So when you go to the Western Interlacustrine region, musanga ensi abantu nga the Banyoro, the Batoro, the Banyankole, the Bachiga, and all those other people we meet about Western Uganda. Then the Eastern Interlacustrine region, musanga Basoga, Banyankole, Basoga, Baganda, and all these other Bantu speaking groups. That's where you come with the argument of the Eastern Uganda as well as the Western Uganda, and then maybe a bit of Central and then Northern Uganda. Because that is based on who? On the West. Neogbe lwaki Western ojiyita South, lwaki South ojiyita West? I mean, I was here sitting there. I mean, this is the South. That is Southern Uganda. Not everyone in Uganda. Oh, those people from the West. What do you mean they are from the West? Why is it that when people are in the North Bagamba, those Southerners? Why do they look at us as Southerners, whatever? We are not stupid. So when we have ideas of Africa, we are one, everyone, black people. Stupid. If you are coming here saying, black skin and all this kind of crap, look, they have told people, right? You see, that is the thing with Buganda as well. Buganda was very welcoming. Whether white or black or whatever, everyone was welcomed into the kingdom. Whether Christian or Muslim, you will never find that in any other kingdom. Not so common on the African continent. Neither I'm not going to sit here and let a bunch of guys from Rajtula try to preach some stupidity. I'll just swallow it and take it in. Mukati, East African integration. Do you know why it failed in the very first place? African integration. Why did Nkrumah fail? Why did Sekou Touré fail? Why did Muammar Gaddafi fail? They all failed badly. So, they all failed badly. Temusobola na kukola sawa yammwe nga Bafirika. You don't even have a uniting language. And now you're speaking about, I think we should have a United States of... I mean, come on. I think we should have East African Federation. Really? Uganda claim you're uniting a East African Federation? Literally, you cannot move from Uganda to Kenya without being stopped like I don't know how many times. You cannot move from Uganda to Tanzania. It is much cheaper to travel by bus than by air, of which here it might be even much expensive to travel by bus going to France than air. Really? Until we sort out the issue of governance on the continent of Africa, there is not going to be any sort of integration. Until we can clearly define who an African is, there's not going to be any sort of integration. You see these confused Pan-Africanists. They see every black person around the world as a Pan-Africanist. When you go to the United States of America and the rate of discrimination that the blacks in America have against the immigrants in Africa, it is appalling. Binyiza. The people who have grown up in America, the sons or the grandkids of slaves, when they see we Africans coming to America, oh, Africans, immigrants. I mean, you guys haven't faced it maybe, but I have seen it here in the UK. Blacks who have grown up here, they have a different perspective than the blacks who have just migrated here. And then you see the blacks in the West. America and these countries saying, oh, Kagame is a hero, Museveni is a hero, avumi abazungu. Very dense. I mean, I always tell these people, you are dense. Because when you are using Kagame's statement, when you are using Museveni's statement, when you are using these dictators' statements as a yardstick to show, oh, now they are very strong, you are stupid. Because these people, some people are the ones that are killing us. They are the ones that are treating us very badly. And then, Orokuba Yavumi Abazungu, we clap. These people, not all of them, a bit of them. So who is an African? His statement, who is a Ugandan? I can describe who a Muganda is. I can describe who an Acholi is. I can describe who a Langi, a Musoga, a Mugweri. I know who those people are. Who is a Ugandan? Who is a Ugandan? Tell me one thing. Who is a Ugandan? A Ugandan is someone who comes from Uganda. Is that all you can say? Is that all? Is that how you describe who a Ugandan is? Okay, who is an African? An African is someone who comes from Africa. Where does Africa end? Africa Kumawa. Does it just stop at the Suez? Do we just look at the continent? And who says that Africa stops here? Well, it is the so-called geologists, so-called white people, and all this kind of stuff. Can't we say that even the entire Middle East, Saudi Arabia, as well as Iran, as well as those places, can't we say that is Africa as well? Why would some people say that Russia is part of the European Union and others say Russia is not part of Europe? Are we stupid? So we are having a bunch of fools that sit in the Addis Ababa following orders of the West who cannot conscript, who cannot write their own history, who cannot write their own narrative. But they are, on one hand, abusing the West, but on the other hand, moving on the Western principles. Where does Africa end? Who is an African? So if you say that an African is someone who comes from the continent of Africa, okay, fine. So are the white South Africans also Africans? No, those are not Africans. Those are immigrants. They just came into South Africa in 1700s, so they are not Africans. Okay, fine. So what should we say about the sons of slaves that came to America? So do you mean that the blacks who are in America are not Americans? Maybe we should say that. Those are not Americans. Those are Africans. Why do you call them African Americans? And we do not have white Africans. Yeah, maybe we should start thinking about those things. You have African Americans, but you don't have white African. Okay, African whites. Maybe we can have that. So it all just goes back to that. I mean, it literally just goes back to that. Who is a Ugandan? Abazungu bagenda okujja okutuwamba. We had our boundaries clearly drawn of Buganda. Everyone knew where the boundaries of Acholi crossed. We all yali boundaries eza Langi, eza Acholi, eza Nkole wezali. We all know where these boundaries were. Eza Bunyoro wezali. We know where the boundaries were. It has never changed because land never shifts unless if there is a continental drift, unless if there is an earthquake that will split the entire land mass. Land will never move. The points, the boundaries are still known. Tezigenda kuvaawo. Ez'abazungu zino bazikubye wano mu 1920 tezinaweza na myaka 12. Eza Buganda zaaliwo for 300 years. Eza Nkole zaaliwo for generations. If I ask you who is a Muganda, you can know who a Muganda is. You can describe who a Muganda is. You cannot describe who an African is. You cannot describe who a Ugandan is. None. Haram. Techiriyo. You cannot. Okay, ndimuna Uganda. What do you mean ndimuna Uganda? Okay, ndimuna Uganda amanya gange nze Mayanja Fazir. But gwe Mayanja Fazir, but I hear some people are Opio, are Okero. Yeah, banova na Uganda na yekali lwakuba nti bava mu tribe ndala. That is where the argument will always head back to. Because the argument of your identity will always head back to your tribe. It will always head back to your ethnicity. And then you want to tell us that all that doesn't matter? It only matters if people have lost their identity. Only and only if people have lost their identity. For example, if you go to America, that's why you see some of our brothers and sisters who are grandchildren of colonialists, these slaves and all this kind of stuff, are confused, unfortunately, I would say. These people should be fighting to come back to the continent of their motherland, to oust all these dictators, to look for their roots. But these people are out there. They are settled. They are comfortable. No one would like to come to this hall. For what? I only live once. I will live up to 50 years. Uganda. Do not misunderstand me. Whereas we have different tribes and different gund, we still can unite with our differences. It is these differences can still bring us together and try to forge a new identity of being Ugandan. Do not misunderstand me, but I'm trying to explain a very important point here, that because of the leadership and governance and misleadership that we have had ever since the modern nation states were being created, we have become confused in our own countries and our own continent. And the only identities that we can always find, they always head back to the identities that we had before the coming of the colonialists. That is where it will always head back to, unfortunately. It will always head back there. The first thing that comes into one's my stupid head. I meet an African. I meet so many Africans here. We meet on the street. Hello, hi. By the sound of their accent, you will know that they come from a different part of Africa. Now, if a British guy meets another British guy, by the sound of their accent, maybe they can identify, okay, this one comes from Yorkshire, this one comes from a different province, this one comes from Liverpool. You know, they have this kind of accents. But they will still feel that, oh, this one is still British. It is British, but just different accent. But when I meet a brother from Nigeria, I can identify them from Nigeria. And then I will go further. All right, bro, you're from Nigeria, but are you Igbo? Are you Fulani? Are you Yoruba? What are you, man? If I meet a brother from Kenya, he was, oh, are you Chikuyu? Are you Luo? Are you Kalenjin? Why? Because Kenyan is not enough. Why do we always have to go back? Because when you reach someone's identity as a Muganda, there is nothing beyond that. Okay, fine. The only thing that goes beyond that is starting to ask, okay, what is your clan? And no one goes past the identity of one's ethnicity. Now, all right, oh, bro, where do you come from? Africa. Now, when you meet a black person, now this is the naivety that some of us have. And whenever you meet a black person, you think, oh, this one is from Africa. Not every black person comes from Africa in modern day. Some people come from Haiti, or Jamaica, and all these other places. These people have never even stepped on the continent. They don't even know where Kampala is. Some of them think that Uganda is a town in South Africa. But when you meet these people and ask them, hey, bro, where do you come from? You come from Africa? Actually, when you meet a black person, you even have to ask them, do you come from Africa? Which country do you come from? Then they will say, oh, I come from... Now, what is funny is this. When I meet a Jamaican, I'll ask, oh, where do you come from, Jamaica? I will not ask the tribe. No, because that identity was taken away from them after being enslaved and put on plantations. Era ne wonosinkana wano muna Uganda. Now, if you're lucky, you might find the person that you speak the same language. But if you find Okello, he will say, hey, man, I'm Ugandan. Oh, Ugandan, Okello. Oh, what comes to your mind is one thing. Oh, he must be an Acholi or a Langi. The issue of Uganda is just, then you know, again, okay, all right, yeah, he's an Acholi, he's a Langi. Then you start asking them about their places and this kind of stuff. But when you reach that point of someone being an Acholi or being a Langi, there is nothing that goes past that. There is no other identity that goes past that. You won't ask, okay, you are a Langi, are you Nilotic? Are you Hamite? Are you Nilo Hamite? Are you Sudanic? Oh, you won't go past that. Because the word Acholi, the word Buganda, the word Muganda is not an English word. Chechisoka. The word Uganda is a Swahili word that means people that come from Uganda or that come from Buganda. Let me say. That was Englishized, maybe. Because it is a word that the English adopted to create the modern state. Akiramajong. Oh, I'm Akiramajong. I'm Ankole. I'm from Ankole. Munyankole. I'm from Luo, whatever kind of stuff. So, guys, I'm sorry for the rant, but this rant at times has to be put into people's heads. And I laugh when people say that, okay, Africa will never grow if people still look at themselves in tribal. No, you can make that argument in a positive way, but you can also make an argument for it. Because even when we have these tribes, we can still create and forge a strong unity in the modern day, to creating a very strong nations, to creating a very strong bond. And out of that, we can create powerful African states. But you cannot say we should scrap all of that and then create a new identity. Because when you're creating a new identity, it calls for these things. You have to change the language because the language has to unite you. You have to create when you change the language, it means you have to create a new names. Ng'omuntu tebakyamuyita Okello, obanga tumuyita Andrew Smith, obanga tumuyita Mayanja, obanga tumuyita Okello, because the fact is, oli buli wanaayogera Okello, ekijja mu bwongo bwa Mayanja, mukyoli. Oli wanaayogera Kagame, ekijja mu bwongo, mutuusi. Oli wanaayogera, what's your name? Kyagulanyi, Muganda. It will always go back there. But when you want to create that sort of unity, language, you're not just scrapping, have a unifying language in the state. All of those names, amanya gonna galina okukyusibwa. Ng'abantu tebeetumba mannya ga Okello, tebeetumba mannya ga bitundu gye bava na tribes ze baalimu. All those things have to change. Amazina amaganda biki ebyo byonna byonna ebyennyonyo bye bakola, all of that has to be scrapped. Because that's identity. Nemmere inokyuka. Emmere inokyuka. Baganda baffe abava e West Nile tebalya matooke. Baganda bange abava e Karamoja tebalya matooke. No. Era abali b'amatooke tubamanyi. Mmere inokyuka. Abali bamala kwanga tubamanyi. Abali emmese tubamanyi. This is culture, by the way. Do not laugh. Ulino wabandu ganti, okay, onalya akanyonyi. What's wrong with that? Even here in Bulaya, it is a delicacy okulya ebigere by'ekikere, frog legs. Why do we laugh at a person who eats a bird? Let me tell you one thing. If you go to Paris, Paris is the culinary capital of the world. Wabonyonya are the best cooks. I was speaking to a friend of mine. He's a chef. Nanga, because I'm interested in cooking, of course. Nanga auntie, because why is it that most of the best creme de la creme of chefs in the world come from France? And now France is the culinary capital of the world. Now, eating frog legs, it is a delicacy in France, like in all over the world. Not everyone can afford a plate of frog legs. Even eating a pigeon, sibuli muntu nti alya pigeon. Mchemutwalanga ekyamaanyi y'enkoko. Naye wano n'okulya ku mbaata. I mean, eating the duck, it is very expensive, my friend. Kati muganda waffe oli omuntu alidde akanyonyi, and people just laugh. That is primitivity. Kati oli waba alidde you know people who eat the bunyonyi. Will you be able to create a national delicacy? Because through the food we eat, we identify ourselves. Gowaliona byeyo munyankole asiba oluwombo. Abayina ebyazi tubamanyi. The people who use ebyazi. Abesiga omuzigo tubamanyi. Ebyo byonna birina ovaawo. Abatambula n'enkoni, we know them. Even the dress has to change. We have to change the dress code. But abasiba ebyoya ku mitwe ne babuukabuuka. Stop. That is if you want to create a new tribe, a new identity. Kati gwe mbulira oba ebyo bisoboka. Abatayambala ababeera obute abakalamoja abo nabo balina ovaawo, tulina bambaza ku mpaka with the new dress code. Abambala gomesi tubamanyi. Abambala embugo tubamanyi. We know you. Abambala emishanana, lwaki mugiyita mishanana? Abaganda bameka abambala gye mishanana? Simanyi mugiyita mishanana. Gye musiba wano ne musiba wano ekintu nemu abazina gano ago ngokuse. Tubamanyi abazina ngente. You know, it is good. It is good. I like it. I really enjoy. Singa nayisi na wasa na you know. Ennaku zino ebintu bya strategic. You know what's wasayo mu northern, wasayo mu central, wasayo mu nyankole. Buli region wasam. Seriously, because you don't never know where things might go in Uganda today. Kati abazina gana agente ago. Tubamanyi. Twaja kusangayo musoga azina ago agente. Do you know what this means? This means cow horns. Abasale embalu. We know. Why? That is identity. Chechi describing who a person is. Iro mukyala muba muli mbuliri omusajja akulima nzisiri mugisu. You can know. Ayala byo ku mugisu. You know. You just know. Okay. Kubera omugisu omwawula ku musiramu. Abamu kumwe muyinza okuba temubawula, but culture. Sebeyi era ne waba musebeyi eri omumanyanga oli musajja. You get the point? Kakati ezo zonna for you to be successful. Mwebye muwoza pan-Africanism. Africa come together, blah, blah, blah. Ensigo ko nova. That's where it should come from. That is where everything has to come from. Because you cannot describe. Tosobola kunyonyola ekyo nkiba weddenga homework. Who is a Ugandan? Who is an African? Tosobola chi describing. African is someone who comes from Africa. But look here, mate. Africa has 53 bloody states. Eranga akubuza, which state of Africa do you come from? Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, where? 53 states. I come from... No. Which region? Ntimva West Africa. Oh, West Africa. Nigeria? No. Gabon. Oh, Gabon. Okay. It goes back to that. Jova, East Africa, and yeah. Which part of East Africa? And Uganda. Yeah. Where? Uganda. Oh, Uganda. We had the Idi Amin. Yeah, Idi Amin, I know, yeah. He's from northern Uganda. Hey, you mean you have even other parts in Uganda? Which other part do you have? Oh, Eastern Uganda. Hey, you have other one. Yeah, Western Uganda. So where do you come from? Oh, I come from Western Uganda. Oh, Western, yay. Oh, so is it like a big area, Western Uganda? Ah, but Western sounds very European. Was there something else before Western Uganda? Oh, yeah, we have tribes. Oh, which tribe? I'm Muhororo. Hey, you a Muhororo? Yes, I'm a Muhororo. So, among the Muhororo, do you have any other thing? Uh, yeah, I think I have. What do you have? Maybe the clans. Oh, the totems. Oh, which totem? I'm from the leopard. Leopard. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. So among the leopard, what do you have? we, we have the family. Which family do you come from? My dad is so and so. And where does your dad come from? I mean, you go it all just goes back. So it's a layer upon a layer upon a layer. But only those layers stop at your tribe. But this modern state of Uganda and modern African so-called continental thing, those are just modern constructs of the Western world. And that is where these people are trying to. Chovora Nkrumah failed. The Gaddafi's failed. Everyone who tried to unite Africa, they failed because they were building African unity on a very on a bedrock, a porous. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to me today, and I hope I haven't wasted your time. But abali kutaka ya Mailo, be very careful. If you come from other region, etaka ya Mailo chikwatako. Seriously, chikwatako. You have relatives who live in Kampala. If you do not raise up for us to fight together, and your place is also coming. And also Uganda should pay attention to people who are facing land issues in different parts of Uganda. That is the only way we can build synergies, and that is the only way we can build these connections as again Okuyamba Uganda to be held together. Because this beautiful Uganda, the Uganda that we want a Uganda where people can be proud of their identity and tribes, but also being proud of the issue of being a nation of Uganda and that sort of thing. Nenga, we don't look at one tribe over the other, saying this one is above this one or this one is better than this one in one way or the other. We can still coexist. It is because that these people are very selfish. They want to create deep divisions within us in order to cut ourselves apart so that they can just come and take over the country as easy as they want. And we shouldn't let that happen. By not letting that happen, the only thing we have to do is to come together. If something has affected the Acholi, if something has affected West Nile, if something has affected Western Uganda, Eastern, and all these other parts of the country, we all need to condemn them. And I think that is what NUP and People Power has managed to do. They are very, very well and very, very much incorporating different regions and having them to pay attention into other regions' issues and making sure we bring them to the limelight for the entire world to stand together. Because the issue of land is not issue occurred in Buganda. It is an issue that is all over the country, in Eastern Uganda, Western Uganda, as well as Northern Uganda. It's just because that we have been fighting these battles in tribalistically and not nationally, and that is why it is the enemy is able to threaten and try to succeed in one way or the other. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have learned one or two things here, but that is all I could do. Please endeavor to support your Choto, follow the platform, like and share, comment, and all this kind of stuff. Most of you have asked me Mbulanyo. I know I'm doing another version in English, as you all know, but the truth of the matter is, it is not easy, guys. You should also understand. So anytime I can come on, the show can be recorded and anything. So do not ask it. Yeah, you understand. Just understand. Between work, between doing and English, because no one out there is doing English, and so I have to do English. And this work takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. You have to sit down, you have to research, you have to read, you have to be knowledgeable, and all that kind of stuff. Because toyinza kumala gojja abantu mwenna abali wano mwasoma, you people know your stuff. So I just don't want to come here nenzija allegations zesinaako mitwe n'amagulu. So at times ngenda nenzija wano nenjogera naye nga byemba njogedde byonna mba nabyogedde byonna eri mu Luzungu. kati oluzungu eba rehearsal mwabo abekinya no abooluganda mwe mufuna cream de la cream from what I have read from the English version. But the idea of my English version is to make sure that I can reach different parts of the Africa to pick interest in Uganda, because there's been a gap that has been lacking there, especially because I've been doing that YouTube thing for like, I think, close to a year now, doing the English version of things, keeping people updated on what is actually happening and making a small analysis here and there for people to catch up and know what is happening in Uganda, because so many people have been left out because of language barrier. And as a Uganda that we want to build that is united, I think we need to be able to accommodate each and every one in the language that they do understand best. But with your support of platforms like Echoto, I think we can be able to bring more people on board that can speak different languages, and also improve our production and the way we do the work here, because we also need to do that. Improve the production, improve all those sorts of things. So if Echoto is having any sort of arrangement in order for support, please support the platform. Because having done this work for close to 4 years, there are moments when people get drained. There are moments when people get burnouts. And most of these people will not tell you these particular issues. And even also having mental health issues, because most of you might think that, oh, we come here, we are happy, we laugh and all this kind of stuff. But trust me, it is not easy work. The stress that people go through, the families and all this kind of stuff, it is a lot of sacrifice. Just like everyone out there has sacrificed for this particular struggle. And that's why I can never say that, okay, this guy is doing so much and this one is not doing that much. Or social media, and you just tell people, okay, how many number of people are doing social media, especially doing live videos? Okay, the space is really small. It is lacking. Not so many people are doing these videos, and at times more people, but very receptive with videos other than writing, other than reading, and all this kind of stuff. So in order to cater for this, because like there are so many bloggers of us, which is really sad. So I believe that and there is so much ground to cover and all those sorts of things. So I believe when Echoto creates programs, because we have a news channel and all this kind of stuff, people who write the news and all that kind of stuff. So if they call on you guys, please, to help out. Let me tell you one thing: fighting Museveni creates mental health issues as well. Yeah, you should understand. For 4 years, I've never spent a day without thinking about toppling Museveni out of power. When you come to the realization of that particular issue, it messes up your mind. Not messing up your mind in a way, but it's really, for 4 years having done this, I know what it means. Every day, like literally every day, no day passes by without thinking about your country. And most of you who don't even do lives, you know what I mean. So many ladies, so many people reach out to me, call, we have a conversation, and they see things that are going on and they are not really happy. So for 4 years, some of us have never seen any sort of happiness, and we are really longing for that happiness. We are fighting for it, for the day to have a smile, a genuine smile on my face, a genuine happiness on my face, to say that, okay, Uganda is now free. That's what we are longing for. That's why we come here, to do all these sorts of things. So when you're not achieving that, when you're not getting closer to that, at times it's very daunting on someone's health, on someone's feelings, and that kind of stuff. So the support that you provide to platforms like Echoto and other platforms that do blogging, it really helps a lot to help out, to lessen the work and help out Okola Auntie. They try different means on how to do their jobs, or how to do their work in one way or the other. So please, and please, when bloggers call on for your support, endeavor to support them in any way. Muba supporting it, because for me, I have my own personal experience. I know what I've gone through, and I've realized that fighting a dictator is no joke. It's not something very simple. It's not something very easy. You have to sit, you have to read, you have to keep up to date. You have to listen to as many programs as possible. You have to watch as many programs as possible. So literally, this becomes your life. That's what you should know. You have to know what Museveni said, what this one said, what this one is doing. Literally, you're keeping up with everything. It's like keeping up with the Kardashians, but this is like keeping up with Museveni. Because the moment you let the gun down like this, it's going to be a mile where they have left you, and then you have to cover that ground. So that's the idea. Assalamu alaikum. Have a good night.